Good morning, Gate City Rotary. It is good to see you.
Good morning.
Good to see guests, visitors. It's a great day. Let's see, Cooper, do you have our invocation?
Yes, I do. Thank you. Let's pray. Lord, thank you for this beautiful crisp fall morning. Thank you for Rotary and what it stands for. May we show our gratitude through our words, actions, and deeds today. And may we even perform some random act of kindness. And it will recite the Lord's Prayer. Our Father,
who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It is the truth, it is fair to all concerned, will it build goodwill and better friendships, will it be beneficial to all concerned.
Brian, do you have a sergeant? I was looking for you at the door. Do you have a sergeant at arms report?
Good morning. We have 48 in attendance this morning. And yes, we're here. Paul Davis. Yes, from Rockville.
Let me just give a proper introduction. Carl is a Rotarian with the Downtown Raleigh Club. He also works for the Rotary Foundation. And he lives in Garner, and he's been here with me this week, and we are still raising money for our $1 million dinner that we're going to celebrate over at Kelly's Place on February the 12th. So there's still time to participate. We'd love to have. And by the way, this club has really stepped forward. There are 12 members so far that are committed, and there is no other club in this district that is supporting this initiative more than the Gate City Club. So I want to thank all of you for what you've done. So Carl is here to help me, and he's a great resource. So welcome, Carl.
thank you.
All right.
I was going to say, Mike, while you're standing, do you want to introduce your other guest?
Oh, I do have another. Michael was here last week, as you remember. He's with BB&T, and he was so impressed with last week and actually contributed. The program was very appropriate. So he's back this week, and you never know what may happen here. So we love having Michael as an assistant with BB&T right over here at Friendly Center. Is that right? Are you originally from Charlotte? Yeah. We're glad to have you.
Yeah, Paul Fowler. Yes, right there.
Can I say a couple words? I want to say thank you to all of you for your bell ringing support. I'm with the Salvation Army, and I also want to say thank you for the grant that you gave us recently. So we really appreciate that.
We have Dan Parks, who's our speaker today.
I want to just stand very properly before he speaks. I said he's got about 300 so slides that he's going to read today. We'll take turns.
And Christy Milholland.
Welcome, Christy. Christy's been here several times, and we're very happy she's come back.
Thanks, Brian. Rick, did anybody get any older this week, or are we celebrating any anniversaries?
Actually, we didn't. Everybody's actually got a little bit younger, but that's worth celebrating right there. Can you believe that? Good morning, Gate City. We've got a bunch of stuff. It's almost like twice what we normally have. It might be because somebody wasn't here to do the job last week. I don't mention any names, but it's initially Rick Martin. So, remember birthdays. We do have 2 weeks to catch up, so this is actually last week. David Graves, I know I saw him here somewhere.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. 15th of October.
Perfect.
Yeah, all right. That's what your mother said. All right, John Osborne. Perfect. John Osborne, 17.
Right here.
There he is, right here. All right. Happy birthday, my man. And our own guy, we should have had it for him here last week, and don't we sing happy birthday if it's on the day that we're here? But we weren't here last week. Well, sorry, buddy, it was last week.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear God. Happy birthday to you.
I was fishing.
All right. Club anniversaries. Chris Justice, on the 16th, you had an anniversary.
Yay.
How many? Not the yay. How many?
What, 9? 10? Yeah. Do I get a watch?
Thank God he's got one there.
Hey, Chris, you're being watched, buddy.
Good for you, Chad. All right, David Graves. I know you're here too. No? Yes, there we go, back again. Yeah, on the 21st of October, and you have this many.
14.
Yes, sir. Boy, perfect.
All right.
And Dale Hopkins. Dale? Okay. All right, and Howard Diggers. Howard? There you go, Howard, on the 24th of October, it will have been.
At this club?
Only 4, but it seems like a lifetime.
Close? Close?
It's 5.
I love the way everybody remembers. And it's partner birthday, my bride had a birthday last week on the 14th there. So that wraps up everything for our Rotary.
Thank you, Rick. Let's get into announcements, and I'm going to start with Kim Danes and our Rush Food Drive.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Remember, we are bringing food this week and next week for Pig Stock for Out of the Garden Project. We got off to a great start last week, and I see that people are also donating this week. And I'll need a couple helpers, hopefully, if there's enough over there afterwards to get it to my car. But we're really excited. So next week, let's put the big push on.
And I know there's some in people's trunks and the back of their SUVs right now that'll probably meet you in the parking lot afterwards too. So next week, final week for that.
Right. Thank you.
Thanks, Kim. Let's talk about pig stock. Have anybody heard about pig stock? Rick, I'll let you take a bite of the egg, sorry about that. We can impose on Dan, sorry.
Yes, hey, good to see you guys again. Pig stock. We are getting down to crunch time on our tickets. A week from next weekend is a big day, and we have sign-up sheets that are out on the table. So think about who all you can invite and bring to this thing. It's going to be so much fun, as always. And we need to sell some more tickets, and we still have some sponsorship slots that are opened up. So don't give up on those yet. Think about who might be able to sponsor us there. And again, show these things to everybody. And the more we have, the more fun it's going to be. And of course, the more dollars we raise for our charity there.
Yes. And this is the last week to do it through the club, is it not?
Yes,
Yes, okay.
it is.
So this-
it'll save you $1 or $2, so buy extra while you can.
Sheets are on the table.
Yeah, I just might want to know, our good friend Paula here from the Greensboro Club, you guys might want to know this. She was saying here at the table, they're talking this up over at the Greensboro Club a lot.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, they're talking things like, oh, we were past champions, you know, things like that. So she's over here rubbing it in. So I didn't want to say anything to her, but let's let them enjoy it while they can. So anyway, if you're going to visit any other clubs, you're going to be doing a makeup, go over there and talk some smack, and let's get some more enthusiasm, and let's get this thing underway to do it right. See you at Pig Stock.
Thank you, Rick. Mike, are you ready? Can I call on you for
Yeah.
a quick announcement?
Just to follow up on the foundation banquet, November the 8th, and since I sent out my email, I've really been getting some good hits. We have 15 now that are going, and I'm going to make this reservation tomorrow. If you're not on my list, I've got Judy and Jimmy Brumley, Stephanie, Kaylee, and Chris Justice, Jim Kennedy, Jeff Tillman, Kim Dane, Gail Stansel, Gigi Renault, Dale Meltzer, Chip and Laura Bell, and me and my bride. If you're not on my list and you want to go, I need to know, because I'm going to make reservations. It's not that you can't still make a reservation, but I was going to make it so we're all assured that we're going to sit together. So just let me know, but it's November the 8th. We have a great trustee as a speaker. So it's a great event. And Buck Campbell, by the way, as most of you, a lot of you may know, is going to be inducted as a Arch Clump Society member, meaning that he's given $250,000 to our Rotary Foundation. So it's going to be a really special evening.
Ralph?
Yeah. As many of you know, I'll do an oyster roast for our fundraiser every year. It raises, I hope it allows people to buy a lot of tickets, and every year I need volunteers. And every year, the prior, everybody, oh, I'll help. This year, and I've
Just like that, isn't it?
So actually, I've had great participation from folks helping. This year, as we move off of pig, it's on the 4th. We're going to be doing oysters, shucking oysters for Mitzi Ellis and JDRF. It's going to be a big crowd, and it's going to be a lot of fun. There's one caveat, and I don't know how to get around it, but they've asked for it to be in Southern Pines. So it's an hour away, but I would love, they're going to offer up some volunteers to help too. But if you could, because I want to continue doing it, but if we don't get any help, then I can't offer it to help. We can't do it by myself. So
Well, this is a great thing.
it's going to be in the late afternoon. It's probably 5 o'clock, 2 hours. I mean, we'll be in and out there. It is a bit of a drive, but it'll be.
It's actually in Pinehurst, and it is a great party. I mean, you will really have a great time.
And typically, with the folks who've done it before, we have a good time doing it. I mean, it's fun.
Well, that's November 4th?
November 4th, the day after the big time.
I've helped around, it's a lot of fun. You don't even have to bring your own beer, they'll bring it for you.
You smell great out on Monday mornings. I'm just being in So just please keep it in your mind. If anybody is interested, let me know. November 4th.
Ralph, as many of you know, and new members will learn, Ralph donates an oyster roast as one of the prizes for our annual fundraiser. It's a fabulous prize. It looks great when you're selling tickets, and thank you for doing that. Okay, Jim Kennedy, last call.
Yes, sir. October 31st is coming up fast. I've only received, well, as of today, 5 requests for grants from club members. Come on, people. I know there's more of us out there that work with nonprofits and want to get some of that $10,000. So please get them into me. I'll send out another email today with the 2 links, the PDF and the Word document, and just get it back to me by next week, please, so we can get together and make our decision.
And if it's 5, they'll just be more generous grants to go
Well,
around.
that's right. That's what happens.
Okay. Thank you for hitting that up, Jim. At this time, I'd like to call up Robbie Hassel, Simon Cartier, and Mike Conrad. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, Guy Rabondo.
It's all right, Mike, I was going whether it called.
Thanks for playing along. This is a very special time in our club when we can induct a new member and a special day. Ron?
Thank you, Mr. President. This time I will ask Dr. Rabondo to introduce our newest member and tell the club a few.
So it's my honor to introduce Simon. I've been friends with him for about 5 years now.
Put up with the big battle.
Simon's a great guy. He's married to Lori, who is truly his better half. He's got 2 lovely children who are 12 and 15, Zach and Sarah. Simon went to McGill University.
McGill University.
And so he's a what do you call Canadians?
Canucks.
Canucks. He's a fellow Canuck. So we're getting multinational here again. So, yeah. And with that, we'll let, and Simon is a triathlete, so he is a little bit.
Probably driven.
Yeah, driven. Ooh, like
Well,
Exactly.
if you're driven, you've come to the right place. Gate City Rotary Club was founded in 1991 to make its own driven efforts to improve our community, the lives of those within our club, and around the world as well. And Simon, we welcome you for what you will bring to that effort. We welcome you not only for your strong arms and sturdy backs, for the projects that will bring opportunities for you to serve, but for also other countless ways, and sometimes small yet always significant, that you can make a difference as we, as members of this club, can make a difference. Times like these, it is mindful for us to be cognizant of what Gate City Rotary and what Rotary is and is not. First of all, Rotary is not a political organization, but in this season in particular, it is dedicated to the proposition of encouraging strong tenets of citizenship and encouraging good men and women to aspire and serve in public office and to be supportive of it. Rotary is not a religious organization, but it is founded on those timeless moral principles and values that guide us all and that bind us together, in particular serving others. Rotary also, finally, is not a charitable organization, yet as you've just heard, there are opportunities through our foundation, through our sweat equity programs, and through countless other ways to serve and give back in philanthropic ways. Well, what is Rotary? Rotary is an organization dedicated to the highest standards of professional values and integrity that binding people together from different vocations in the common avenue and goals of service and making this world a better place. And so with that in mind, we will have you come forward. And at this time, we'd ask everyone to stand. Simon, you come as a member of Rotary today, both as an ambassador from your chosen field of study and work and vocation. And we hope that you will bring the tenets from your background and experience, including even triathlons, to expose us and encourage us to be equally driven in our own pursuits and goals. You are in turn, from this point forward, an ambassador of Rotary and of Gate City. As you go around to other clubs, as you go around this community, as you go within your daily life, within and without, you will be representative of and have the opportunity to so reflect the values we imbue in the four-way test, which you just heard us recite as we do every week, and in all you do. And with that in mind, let me be the first to extend a welcome of fellowship and collegiality. Welcome to Gate City Rotary. Simon, everybody. We do have, from our Secretary Steve, the tenets and incidents of membership. Thank you.
Oh, I forgot to mention, he is an engineer too. So, he's not a professional triathlete, he's an engineer.
You're a space engineer, so you need help.
Railroad engineer?
I can take a train around this week.
Let's see, how about a lightning round of football pool?
Lightning round of football pool, here we go. All right, everybody, good news for the whole team here. Last week on the college side, we got 73% as a winning number. Judy, I want to congratulate you because you went from 53% to 73%. I'm going to give you a pen. And the winner, even though we don't have it classified as a prize, the one closest with the points for the tiebreaker was Dale. So here's a pen. There you go. Now we're down to the good stuff here. All right, who finished last here? We had a tie. Gigi, you tied with Rob Midget.
What?
And
that's an honor, Rob.
And you know what? Rob got the winning number. I mean, not the winning number, but the winning team. So he's still the winner of the worst score. All right, so pretty good. We had 2 people who had 20s out of 24. Yeah, that was strong. James Pangram and David Lillard, you both guys finished with 20. Great job. Tiebreaker, though, goes to David. Congratulations.
That it?
I can keep talking, but I'm not allowed
I
to.
bet you can. No, yeah. It's my pleasure this morning to introduce Dan Parks. Dan was put in touch with me by Mark Petrell. Apparently they've known each other for a while, and Mark, I believe, is doing some business right now with Dan. Dan sent me a bio and it said, and I spoke with him the other day, and he said, you can call from that bio for my intro. And looking through this, there's just so much here. It seems to me like Dan is the guy that you call when things need to get done. He's been all over the map as far as working for a lot of different folks and with a lot of different people, a lot of different industries. Gosh, he's owned and sold 2 businesses. He's an economic development and business strategist, and he's worked with higher education, government agencies, banking industry, corporate sector, and small to mid-sized companies. He's led strategic economic development planning initiatives for regional partnerships, counties, municipalities, and chambers of commerce. Dan has led strategic plan development for over 20 counties with focus on economic expansion and job creation. In the corporate sector, has consulted and facilitated strategic projects for such firms as LabCorp, UTC Aerospace, UBS Financial Services, and Cross Company. Today we're going to hear about the Rotary Peace Initiative, and basically he can tell you apparently a whole lot more about it than I can, but it's one of the things that's kind of core to Rotary as far as making the world a better place through understanding. And I think we'll have a lot to learn about the initiative. I know I do. So please welcome Dan Parks.
Well, good morning. It really is my pleasure to be here. I actually only live about 1.5 miles from here, so even though this is an early morning, it wasn't too long a drive. I'd like to thank Mark Luttrell again for raising this invitation. I appreciate it very much. My story of how I got connected to the Rotary Peace Center, I have not been a Rotarian, but I have taught at Duke for the last 7 years in this really amazing program that I'd like to tell you more about. More directly, my friend Barry Phillips, who lives in Hillsborough, he was a district governor and has been really involved in Rotary for many years. Barry Phillips was my introduction to the Duke UNC program. Barry is a major fundraiser nationally and internationally for this program today. Let me ask as I get started, how many have some understanding of the Rotary Peace Centers? Raise your hand. Some of you, I've talked to several of you coming in here. I am not an expert on this program, but I do understand the Duke UNC Center and what we're doing there. The Duke UNC Center, as you will see as we go through this presentation, is one of 6 peace centers internationally. The Rotary Peace Centers were established in 2002 in honor of Paul Harris, the 50th anniversary of his death. And this really ties into one of the 6 focus areas of Rotary, and that vision of creating sustainable peace. And that translates to a mission, a very action-oriented mission, which includes promoting world peace, educating and empowering peace holders, peace builders. There is a combination of rigorous academic training. I'll give you more of a sense of that. But this is an applied, experiential approach. Each year, there are about 100 Peace Fellows selected. They receive full funding. 5 of the centers across the world are master's degree related. The one center in Thailand offers a certificate program. Now, a couple of you asked this question earlier this morning. The students who come in, it's typically a cohort of 10 students who come into the Duke UNC program, for example. They have a lot of experience, a lot of life experience before coming into this master's level program at Duke and UNC. It is not for the recent college graduates. Here are the centers across the world, as you can see, or maybe you can't see it, especially from the back. But we have in Sweden, in the UK, as well as Japan, Australia, Thailand, and back to Duke UNC. There's a fair amount of interaction among these 6 peace centers. And I think we can say, without being too much in favor of Duke UNC, that center is regarded as a leader. Now, to speak about the Duke UNC program specifically, we actually teach in the Cornerstone program. This is when the 10 students who form this cohort come together. So it's the first early days of them getting to know each other. So actually an outgrowth of what we do a lot is team building. Them getting to know each other and how to call upon each other as they go through their study together. And just as to underscore, self-awareness, and I apologize for those of you in the back that may not be able to see this, self-awareness is really that key cornerstone of this program. If folks are going to be involved in conflict resolution and negotiation, for us to know ourselves is extremely helpful. And then to get these 10 students interacting around that is what this program is about. We teach 3 consecutive Fridays in September. The first Friday is an introduction to personality type. The second Friday is ethical decision-making strategies. The third is leadership and personality type. I'll speak a little more specifically. As we thought about the design of this program, we really stepped back and involved proven tools for these very special students. We do use the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator. How many have heard of that, taken that? We try to be very judicious with that. There's a step 2 version these days that is really an advance. So we really let the students have an experience of that. We emphasize this is a non-judgmental way to look at personality and self-awareness. Then we also utilize the Leadership Architect. Now this program, the Leadership Architect, had its origins at the Center for Creative Leadership. And the research on this goes back to 1975. And the competencies that are identified in this research are pretty universal across continents and across countries. The learning objectives that you see on the screen from our 3 Fridays together, there's a nice progression. We come in for the first Friday, they're really getting to know each other through the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator. We have them in small teams. We'll break up even the 10 people into 2, into 3, so they can really get to know each other. And at the close of that first Friday, they're pretty fluent in what the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator means for them and might mean for their career. The next Friday, we use the ethical decision process. Now, we emphasize to the students, we're not teaching ethics. We're not really trying to identify necessarily right and wrong judgments. What we introduce is a decision-making process that we've researched and developed, and it's actually connected back to Myers-Briggs. So if our type is quick judgments, we might want to say, well, what are the facts? If our type is people, we might want to say, well, who's affected by that decision? So we look at those differences. And then the third Friday, it really comes together. The personality type, the ethics, as we go into leadership development. And the way that this really is meaningful for the students is that we talk about the known leadership competencies. What are those positives that really can propel our career? And also, what are the stallers and stoppers that can get us in trouble with our career? And we, importantly, make this real. We actually have them apply it to cases and situations. Now, let me give you a sense of the students. For anybody that's ever had an opportunity to lead a team or teach a class or instruct wherever, community college or wherever, these are the students that we really want. We really want to have in a classroom. They are so serious and dedicated to being there. Everybody wants to be there. But what really has been a pleasure is to have this group of 10 students each year in the cohort talk with each other. You see the countries represented in red. This happens to be a cohort from last year. You see the countries represented in red: Australia, Nepal, Palestine, Italy. Now, importantly, at Duke, it tends to be a master's in international development policy. That usually is the graduate degree that the student is going through. At UNC, it's much more varied. And you'll begin to see, right here, for example, global studies is the master's degree for Muhammad from Palestine. But even some medical doctors are coming in for some additional graduate training, postgraduate courses at UNC. So that's one of the differences. You see some further representation of countries. And again, finishing out the cohort of 10 for that year. And this last woman here, Department of Mental and Child Health is her master's study at UNC. Here's some data on statistics. You see the all applicants, the masters at the 5 centers, and then the certificate program at the 1 center in Thailand. You see the percentage breakdown, male, female, representation or citizenship from a low-income country. See the average age. Again, these are more experienced young people as they bring that, their average years of work experience. The majority come from non-governmental organizations, community building, state building, economic development, particular humanitarian causes. The Rotary does a really good job of tracking. When this program was started, like many programs, the conversation was, how do we measure? How do we know that we're being successful? What are the actual outcomes and results? So there's a close interaction even after a student leaves the program. And you see this data up here, over 1,100 alumni since 2004. 95% report their current work to the Rotary Foundation. It's pretty remarkable. And 88% work in the arena of peace, conflict, prevention and resolution, or one of the other 5 Rotary areas of focus. That is a remarkable continued relationship. Now, there's been a lot of effort to raising money for this program. And I think, is it Mike Conrad? I think, Mike, you've been involved in this, and you probably know more about the dollars than I do. But this is a robust program, and they just surpassed the goal, and you see the number here of 154 million in June of last year. So there's a lot of support for this program. There is an objective to create peace-building districts. And as I thought about the Gate City Rotary Club coming into this morning, I learned that you are a peace-building district. I think you started in 1991.
We were one of the first.
One of the first peace-building districts. And that is heartening. So some of you already know about that. The peace-building districts are asked to donate a minimum of $25,000 annually, and then to sustain that $25,000 each year. And here's a set of actions. I'm coming to the end of my presentation. I'll be glad to open up for some questions. But here are a set of actions that, if you know of other districts, clubs that could be involved, or ways to maybe enliven the work here. Here's some recommended things that can be done to support the Rotary Peace Centers. So, and let me just offer this as a final slide. Here's the email, or the website for the Rotary Peace Center, and you can also get to the GQNC program pretty quickly through that website. So if you have questions following this morning about the Peace Center program, there's an abundant amount of information on the web. Now, in addition, here's my friend Barry Phillips, who lives, I mentioned Barry lives in Hillsborough. He was a Rotary District Governor. Barry he's British. He's been in this country since 1989, but he's been involved in Rotary almost all of his professional life. He was a banker for Lloyd's Bank, lived in the Middle East, some other continents, and throughout his whole experience has been involved with Rotary. He is very passionate about this program. So I would encourage you, if you have technical questions following our time this morning, I'll be glad to put you in touch with Barry. Some of you, I think, Mike, you already know him. And then here's my email and cell if you would like to contact me. So with that, I'll open it up for any questions you may have. Yes, sir.
Dan, I don't know when the next event is, but once a year there's a convention or a conference of Rotary Peace Fellows at the Duke UNC Center. But if you have a chance, go to that, because you will truly be inspired by the stories you hear and the young people you meet. You know when that is?
I don't.
It's always in April.
I believe it's April 19th. It's a Friday in April. It's a Friday in April.
The word inspired is the appropriate word. I've never had a better experience with a group of younger people than this. So, Chip, I think you had a question?
Yes. I noticed that all the students were from other countries.
Yes.
Can you talk about students from the U.S. where they might attend, or?
Yeah, there is a proviso that you really cannot go to your native country, where one of the 6 centers are. So the U.S. students need to select one of the other centers.
And as a part B to that question, upon graduation, how many of them return to their home country to work, or as opposed to going to maybe a center, an area of more conflict? Or
Yeah, I asked that question when we were there in September, and we were told about 55–60%. But in conversation with imagine a young person from Pakistan or Nepal or one of the Eastern European countries coming to this country. So there's an attraction, there's an appeal to being here. But these folks tend to be committed, and many of them want to go back and give back to the communities where they grew up. And that also is very heartening. Okay. Yes, sir.
Dan, Jonathan Smith here. Please give us some examples of where the 1100 would work on the ground. Where would they go? What would be an inflection point that would send them to focus their efforts?
Yeah, the majority of the students go back and work for NGOs, or non-governmental organizations. That often ties into what they did before they went into the graduate program, and it ties into their own sense of mission and passion. A lot of them have particular interests. It might be child education, early education, or it might be a medical relief program. So a lot of the focus of that kind of work revolves around non-governmental organizations, NGOs. So there's probably 40–45% of the graduating students that go back to an NGO type position. Interestingly enough, in the last leadership workshop we do, we show the leadership competencies, and they get to select, and we say, which of these competencies would be most relevant if you were hiring a director of an NGO? And they have a good time selecting 10 or 12 competencies that would be, so they're almost like an HR hiring committee recruiting an NGO director. So, other questions? We're running short on time.
Just a statement, and, we give, our club is a huge proponent of the Rotary Foundation, and this is one of those areas that we support. Peace and conflict resolution, and that is one way you can actually, divert your dollars, you can specify your dollars to go to this area of focus. There's 6 areas of focus. Peace and conflict resolution is one of them, and this collaboration, which is unusual, a collaboration between Duke and UNC to begin with, is incredible. The program, and just like Jim said, if you have an opportunity to go down in April and to hear these students, they come into this program with passion to begin with, and then to what they're going to do in the world is totally incredible. So I would, it's on a Saturday, it's on the UNC campus at the FedEx building. I think it costs $25 or something like that to go, and you get lunch. But it's well worth your time to go to hear these young people. So.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you all very much.
Thank you for presenting to us. This is such an incredible thing that Rotary does. It's easy to think about, well, we have a project, we have a big stock this 2 weeks, we put a roof on a house locally 2 weeks ago as a hands-on work project. But this is an example of a big Rotary, what is happening across the world. Thank you for your part.